There's nothing more American than cowboy hats, hot dogs, Walmart, and of course, pickup trucks.
Chevy pickups have helped change the way America works and plays.
With the best gas mileage, and it's built Ford Tough.
Take the Ford F-150, for example. It's America's best-selling vehicle and has been for 42 consecutive years. Of course, across the pond, things are different. The best-selling cars are typically small hatchbacks like the Volkswagen Golf. In fact, you'll rarely ever see a citizen of Denmark driving a pickup truck. So, how did America fall in love with the pickup? And why didn't Europe? Let's take a look. In 1915, Chevrolet manufactured the Model 490, which was aptly named after the vehicle's listing price, $490. But these vehicles came with one downside. They were sold with only the frames. So customers had to purchase the body, bed, and cab separately, and mostly from independent companies for an additional $100 plus. The all-American pickup truck began to pick up momentum among the general public with the burgeoning automotive industry after World War I. American industrialist Henry Ford first noticed the pickup trucks used by the US military during the war, and he predicted there to be a market for something similar among the American working class. So he ramped up production on factory-built trucks like the Ford Model T Runabout, which, unlike its predecessor, included a pickup bed. Due to this early success, Ford released its new line of pickup trucks in 1948, the F-Series. The F-Series encompasses both light-duty and heavy-duty trucks. With the continuous success of the F-Series, other car companies began to pick up on America's growing call for pickups. The Chevrolet CK, now known as the Silverado, was introduced in 1975, and the first generation of the Dodge Ram in 1980. And over time, they got bigger and bigger. But Europe was not taking part in this pickup truck boom. A smaller market for pickup trucks existed, but even that consisted of more compact Japanese models. For example, in the first half of 2017, 80,300 pickups were sold across Europe. Compare that number to the pickup market in the US, where, during the same period, over 200,000 mid-size pickups and over 1 million full-size pickups were sold. So why hasn't the pickup gained steam in Europe? Well, first, let's get the easy answer out of the way. Gas prices across Europe are more than twice as high as prices in the United States. As of this year, in the US, the average price of a gallon of gas is $2.40. In countries like France and Italy, average prices can reach as high as $6.08 per gallon. Most of the most popular pickup trucks in America have large fuel tank capacities, so this would set back European car owners a sizable amount of money a year just for gas.
They do use more than say, a conventional van or car, just because their aerodynamics are great. They're heavy as well, so yes, you do end up using more fuel.
Take a look at the Ford F-150. Its tank can hold up to 36 gallons at a time. On average, a driver in Europe would have to pay around $180 per tank fill for the F-150.
But fuel per se is not a major problem, but it will be in the future when commercial vehicles have to reach tougher CO2 targets, meaning that they have to be more fuel efficient. And there's no way you're going to be able to do that easily in a pickup truck, because they're pretty simple things, So if you start adding a load of hybrid or electric technology in there, it's going to push the prices up to the point where people won't be interested anymore.
If you followed even anything about French politics, for instance, the last, let's say, year and a half, you've seen probably something about the yellow vest protests happening around cities and countries. And that was actually started because of the raising of the gas tax. And so people living in rural areas have to drive further. They spend more time on the road. And so while the gas tax was motivated by a desire to reduce consumption, improve the environment, it hit those people much harder.
But gas prices don't explain it all. Let's compare these two streets. Which one do you think is in Europe and which one is in the United States? It's simple. Many urban European streets are thin, and pickup trucks are usually wide. With the rear view mirrors, the Ford F-150 measures a little over 6 feet tall and about 8 feet wide. These measurements are considerably larger than most European vehicles. Take Europe's best-selling car, the Volkswagen Golf, which is 1.5 feet smaller in both directions. Now, the US interstate highway system calls for standard 12-foot wide lanes. In Europe, while road measurements do vary from country to country, the minimum widths can range anywhere from 8.2 feet to 10.7 feet. So driving one of these pickup trucks in an 8.2-foot lane would definitely come with its own set of challenges.
Some of the urban road systems go back to medieval times where, they're very tight, very narrow, and it's very difficult to maneuver a pickup truck sometimes. It's doable and people will do it, but it takes a certain type of person to be confident, and most people just aren't just confident enough to drive one of these easily every day.
Another reason why the pickup truck is not as popular in Europe comes down to taxes. Before consumers can start driving their truck around, they first have to go through an extensive and, more often than not, expensive customs clearance process. The initial step in the process involves paying an import tax and duty. Out of all the different types of vehicles, pickup trucks have the heaviest import duties. Depending on its cargo loading size, the duty can cost anywhere from 10 to 22% of the cost it took to import it. Along with this additional expense, consumers are also responsible for paying an import tax or value-added tax that ranges from 19 to 22% depending on the country. Generally, the total added expenditure of the import tax and duty will be around a third of the purchase price of the pickup. And once these are paid, multiple forms and documents are then required for processing. These documents are filed in order to officially register the vehicle within the country. So this part of customs clearance can take a significant amount of time to complete. Lastly, the cultural significance of the pickup truck in America doesn't have the same effect on consumers in parts of Europe.
The pickup truck is sort of connected to almost this, I won't say cowboy image, but this sort of very almost Western, independent, rugged individual persona.
Through its appearances in films and commercials, the pickup truck has become an icon of the rugged American outdoors. This particular aesthetic doesn't resonate to that extent with the large population in Europe.
Although many people in Europe love the outdoors, they don't not necessarily wanting to present themselves in the car they drive, in the vehicle they drive, as this sort of hunt and shoot and fishing type, in the same way that perhaps they do in the States. Also, we don't tow in quite the same way.
Despite all of these reasons, the pickup truck has seen some spurts of growing popularity in recent years. According to data gathered by Cheddar Dynamics, sales for the midsize pickup in Europe increased by 19% in the first half of 2017. This can be credited to changes in government regulations. European countries started to enact stricter fuel economy laws and emission standards that caused the market for the traditional body-on-frame SUVs, like the Land Rover Defender, to dwindle. These SUVs were primarily used to haul large cargo like trailers and boats, and now that they were discontinued, European customers had to look elsewhere for such work. Crossovers? Forget it. Their small displacement engines wouldn't be able to provide enough torque needed to tow heavy equipment, and thus enters the mid-sized pickup truck, most notably the Ford Ranger. With the exception of the Ranger, there still is little American presence in the European truck market. Instead, European automakers began to build their own versions of the all-American vehicle. They formed alliances with Japanese companies to build pickup trucks based on existing models. There are cars like the Mercedes-Benz X-Class and the Renault Alaskan, to name a few, which were both built upon the skeletons of the Nissan Navara. Unfortunately, this market has been seeing little success to continue production, so manufacturers like Mercedes-Benz expect to cancel their pickup truck lines within 2020.
The Ranger has done well off the back of that, so that's about as American as it gets, the fact that the Ford is the number one leading brand.
The American pickup that has defined a generation of the country's working class and its outdoor adventure-seeking families may just continue to struggle to see progress across Europe.